Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Michi Makes Up. Today we're going to take a look at a handful of new makeup items that I've hauled previously and have not gotten a chance to try it for you guys on camera. But we're going to take a pretty dedicated look at the Koh Gen Doh Look Mineral Eyeshadow Palette. I've used this palette a few times in the last 2 weeks, and I'm finally ready to sit down and create some looks for you guys, give you my thoughts on how these shadows wear throughout the day. And before we head on to the arm swatches and demo, a little bit more about the product. This palette is made in Japan, but the shelf life is not printed anywhere that I can see. For those of you who are conscious about your makeup ingredients, they do say that there are no artificial colors, synthetic fragrance, mineral oil, paraben, or alcohol in this formulation. And from the website, the palette description reads, express the naturally beautiful you and create looks to suit your mood. Layer shade, light, and dimension to the eyes with our limited edition Look Mineral Eyeshadow Palette. Soft eye colors impart a delicate glow with a microfine finish to flatter and enhance your look. Our gloss film power technology, along with 2 soft focus powders, allow each velvety hue to adhere to and smooth lids and hold pigment while brightening. Balancing skincare and makeup is Koh Gen Doh's way to beautiful skin. Having used this palette a couple of times, I will have to say the soft focus, smooth lids, and brightening qualities of this formulation is there. And I think the best way to show you is through the demonstration. So at the end, after the demonstration, I'll also take out some other eyeshadow palettes that I think has a either similar color story and or has a similar quality to its formulation that we can compare against. So let's head on to the arm swatches. And I'm going to start first with the pink peachy side of the palette. And these feel very silky to the touch and also smooth. Easy to blend out as well. The payoff is light, but it doesn't really, if you're into really pigmented eyeshadow, I don't think this is going to be your palette. But if you are looking for something to wear day to day very easily and put together looks very easily, this is actually a really great palette. And I don't know if you can tell just from the arm swatches, but these are very smooth, and I feel like it does give your, like the skin once it's on, it looks really smooth, and it is brightening, and it also, with those qualities combined, gives you a soft focus. And these shadows all have a satin quality to them. These 3 seem or look more metallic, and this one is more of a satin matte, but they're all fairly similar in terms of like the texture and how they go on your lids, how easy they are to blend. And the next set of colors is from the brown gray side, or brown gray eyeshadows, from the other half of the palette. And these shadows, these shades are all really beautiful, but I think they do come alive once you put them on your lids. So why don't we head on to the demo. I'm going to start first with my right eye, and I'm going to apply the deeper shades here, like the gray brown shades first, and then we'll move on to the left eye using the peachy pink shades. You can also mix and match these shadows to create a whole different look. The way that I'm demonstrating is just so it's easier to separate these two, and since that divider right here exists, my mind just automatically, decided that we would just split it that way. First, taking this shade here, I'm placing that all over the lids. Then taking the deepest shade, I'm placing that on the outer corners. Just using Sonia G's Jumbo Blender to further blend this out. Then I'm putting this shade right here, starting from the inner corners and building it upwards. Taking the lightest shade, I am using that to buff out any seams right below the brow bone and just kind of going over the crease. And before I do anything else, I'm going to come a little bit closer so you guys can take a look. It just looks very seamless. It's very smooth and it's giving that soft focus we saw in the product description. When I look in my vanity mirror, it just looks like really sophisticated, like, you know, that I didn't have to try very hard. These shades all blended together, yet there's still some dimension and interest to the look. It's not like a monochromatic look. I was able to kind of meld the shades together to add some texture to it. And it makes me feel sophisticated, if you will. It's like I'm ready to go into the business meeting because, you know, these shadows are just like the right pigment, not too much, but not simple or bland or boring. There's just something to it. It's very grown up, I guess you could call it. And what I like to do with these sets of shades is to pop a brighter shade onto the center of the lid. I'm not going to use anything here because I have found that putting something metallic and shimmery, such as using Chantecaille's Luminescent Eye Shade in Cheetah, is just what I'm looking for. So I'm going to add that to the center. And you see how instantly with this really brightening shade, all the other areas on the lid looks deeper. So you've just given your eye kind of like a lift, more dimension. I'm so impressed. And I've worn a look very similar to this using these two products. This is the third time now. And each time I think it looks so beautiful. And once again, sophisticated, but not trying too hard to make this happen. I'm putting the shade starting at the bottom or on the upper lash line, and I'm diffusing it towards the center of the lid. Then I'm taking this peachy shade here and I'm layering that on top of the pink shade from before. Then I'm adding this shade here on the outer corners, but covering more area than we usually do, and I'm actually diffusing this outwards and upwards. And finally, taking this shade here, the lightest of the four, I'm putting that onto the center of the lid, and I'm also going to put some of that on the brow bone. So now let me put some blush on, and I'm going to use Lisa Eldridge's Enlivening Blush in the shade Pink Soap. And I'm going to use Sonia G's mini base from her Keyaki brush set. My friend Miriam, she's also a beauty content creator on YouTube. She loves this brush, and I do too. I love it too, but I've strictly been using it for blending concealer, and actually not even recently. Recently I've been using this little finger brush here from Koh Gen Doh. But the other day I saw her video where she was using this to blend out, and it just looked like the easiest thing to do. I mean, it's pretty easy with your fingers, but I just want to try it with this brush. I'll also link her video below if you guys are interested in having a look. But definitely go check out her video. She does really kind of detailed, informative reviews of products, and I always enjoy her sense of humor. She will be, you know, straight with you, and I really enjoy that. And she's very funny too. So that is Pink Soap. So easy. I think I prefer this over using my fingers. Yeah. I'm going to apply a little bit more to build this up. And I'm also going to use Lisa Eldridge's Elevated Glow. This is in the shade Crystal Nebula, and I'm using that as a highlight. You only need a little bit, and it goes a long, long ways. So I just took off a lipstick that I had put on, and it is Chantecaille's Lip Veil in the shade Elderberry. I thought this would go very well with the kind of maroon colored dress, but it actually looks a lot brighter on the lips. And it's beautiful. I mean, I don't have an issue with the shade itself, but I was hoping for a look that didn't take too much away from the eye look. So instead, I think we'll go with something a little bit more sheer. So I'm going to use Sisley's Fetal Lip Twist. This is brighter and a little bit more sheer. And this is unscented, by the way. It's also made in Italy, and the shade is number 3. It is a coral shade. I'll have the exact name below in the description. Then using Chantecaille's Silk Infused Eyeliner in the shade Violet Damask, I'm going to line the upper lash line. So this is the finished look, and I just really love these eyeshadows. I'm going to come a little bit closer. That brightening, soft focused effect and how smooth everything is, it's really notable in person. Like when I look at my vanity mirror, it's just, I can't think of, like I think Suku eyeshadows are very smooth. Same with Chanel Les Beige. We'll take those out and do some comparisons. But this is kind of on another level of its own. You know, unless you guys have tried another brand that has similar effects, please let me know below. I'm really interested. And they said no artificial colors, and when I think of that, this set of shades here, I don't have too many eyeshadow palettes that have this kind of color story. The one that comes the closest, and I think understandably so, is the Glam palette by Natasha Denona. Definitely some similarities there. I'll choose a few shades to swatch too, and you'll be able to see the difference. This is a lot more pigmented, and Koh Gen Doh is a lot softer. These don't give you necessarily any kind of soft focus effect or really especially smooth lid. I think you really get that from Koh Gen Doh. So wonderful. I just really, really like it. And as for the lip twist, this is the first time I've applied it. It's a lot more pigmented than I had imagined. I thought it'd be more sheer, but you can see the sparkly reflective bits of the formulation for sure. So it gives you that kind of shift quality to it. It's beautiful. I thought the shade would be a little bit more orange than how it appears on my lips. I think with my lip pigment, like naturally, I think I do pull a little bit more red. But also, I did have the Chantecaille Elderberry on before. Even though I wiped it off, I think some of that pigment was still there, and it does have, you know, red in it. Let me swatch it on my hand, actually. Yeah. So I think it is still pulling some of that elderberry shade from Chantecaille, and then of course my natural lip pigment as well. So far it feels really comfortable. It's not particularly emollient or slick, but it feels comfortable. Like it feels like something that's gonna stay within the lines of your lips. It's gonna stay on because of its kind of sheer formulation. I thought that it would feel a lot slicker, I guess, but I suppose not. And this is actually quite similar to their Fito Rouge lipsticks, the formulation, because those lipsticks, while they are considered a satin lipstick and have that kind of finish, it does feel quite thick and moisturizing. The texture, the quality of that texture when I apply it, and even when I hand swatch it, you can really feel the difference. So let's move on to the cross-brand comparisons. I'm going to first start with Natasha Denona's Glam Palette. I will swatch this matte shade here, as well as Center Eyelid. And then let's also swatch Center Eyelid too. So this shade, this one, and this one. And I'm not expecting to find any shade matches in particular. I'm just more curious how the texture of these shades feel and how they look. And Natasha Denona, not surprisingly, her metallics always have that like pow effect. These are much softer in comparison. This matte shade here, I can see it being part of this color story actually. It does have, in comparison, like a little bit more gray, mauve-y tone to it. You know, these are a little bit warmer. I think overall, the Glam palette is cooler than the 4 shades from Koh Gen Doh. And Koh Gen Doh is, payoff is softer, but it also gives you, you know, that soft focus effect. Whereas this, not so much. I think it gives you more of a, like, you know, you can really see these eyeshadows, especially the metallics. And speaking of Japanese quality eyeshadows, how could we not compare against Suku? I have Suku's quad here. This is Ake Kage. And once again, not really dupes of shades we're looking for. It's just the, you know, finish and quality, how they feel, how they look. So I'm going to swatch this shade and this one here. The texture definitely feels similar. These are, but they feel thicker. I think that's probably the most obvious part of it. These feel lighter to the touch, and both are quite, you know, both brands are quite creamy and soft, but these are definitely lighter to the touch. These have kind of like a heavier texture. In terms of the shades, yeah, I think they're quite similar in that kind of gray brown tone range. These ones from Suku are deeper. And these 2 shades are probably a little bit cooler than Koh Gen Doh's, but this matte shade here I find quite similar to this. Yeah, they're quite similar. It's just the texture and finish, like the Koh Gen Doh's are just softer and they don't feel as heavy, whereas Suku's there's more texture to it. You can feel it a bit more. Both are creamy, easy to apply, easy to blend. And then finally, when I think of a pink color story, especially with the soft color payoff and, you know, very smooth, easy, effortless look, I think of Chanel's Tender palette from the Le Beige Summer Lights collection. And the look too you can get from the Koh Gen Doh shades reminds me of Chanel, like immediately just reminds me of Chanel. So we'll swatch a couple from Chanel. We'll start with 3 shades. Oh wait, I'm running out of room. These are deeper than these kind of really light pink shades here. But once you put them on your lid, they're quite similar. I think Chanel's color story is deeper overall, less of that, you know, playful pink shade, peachy. This is deeper, like more of a dusty rose. And then you got this shade here that's almost like a burgundy. These 2, or actually these 3, are your satin mattes. But since this one here is metallic and this one's more shimmery, let's swatch it. It's more of a shimmery finish. And then we have the one that's kind of, yeah, like a metallic. It does give you the ability to create more dimension than with Koh Gen Doh's. With Koh Gen Doh, you are relying on layering the different shades together or on top of each other to give you more dimension, and playing with the, you know, how light hits it. Some parts are deeper, like I have that light shade on the center of my lid. But this one, I think there's just less effort that you have to, or thought, I guess. The effort, I think both you can create beautiful looks without much effort, but I think the thought that you have to put into it is a little bit more intuitive here, less thought. Whereas Koh Gen Doh, you kind of have to think about, okay, if I want to build dimension, I'm not going for a monochromatic look, how should I place the shades? So that's the main difference in use for me that I can think of. If I had to pick one eyeshadow palette out of these 4 to travel with me, I would pick Koh Gen Doh because there are 8 shades and very easy to work with. It has some of that Chanel Tender vibe, and it has that cool kind of gray brown shadows that we get from Suku. And it's just smaller, easier to travel with. I would pick Koh Gen Doh, and I would take one easy to carry shade with me that gives that pop. I'm obsessed with this. I think it's so pretty. Love the luminescent shades. So this is Cheetah. Yeah, I just take these 2 and easily I'd have 3 to 4 days of looks and, you know, feel like I'm still getting something different out of the palette. So there you go. This is my second try on makeup that I promised earlier. If you have not seen my empties and giveaway video, please go check it out. The giveaway ends at the end of this month, and I will be choosing 2 winners. Each will get a box full of makeup, a mix of makeup and skincare, plus a lot of samples for you guys to enjoy. And to enter the giveaway, all of the details are in the video as well. But all you have to do is just comment on the video with your Instagram handle, so there's a way for me to contact you if you win. And then go on Instagram, look for that kind of giveaway post, tag a friend who may be interested in this content, and follow me on Instagram. See you guys very soon. Bye.